Hi, I'm Sarah Jane Brown. I'm a Health and Safety Inspector with Cornwall Council. I'm just going to use a basic case study to take you through an accident at work and some of the key bits of legislation you may need to know about. As a business owner, there are a number of pieces of legislation that may be appropriate if there's an accident in the workplace. I'm going to use a case study to take you through some of the basic regulations and acts that you need to know about if you do have an accident at work. So the case study is going to look at a supermarket and a customer that's coming into your supermarket. They're doing their shopping, they're walking through the supermarket, and they step on an area where there is water, slip, fall, and actually sustain a broken hip. There's a variety of health and safety legislation that may be relevant to this accident, but I'm going to focus on three of the key areas. There's the Reporting of Injuries, Diseases and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations 2013, which we often shorten, as it's a bit of a mouthful, to RIDDOR. There's the Health and Safety at Work, etc. Act 1974, that's our oldest piece of legislation. And one of the regulations is the Workplace Health, Safety and Welfare Regulations 1992. And these are all key in relation to the accident within the retail store. Looking first at RIDDOR. RIDDOR is a regulation that gives a duty to businesses to report accidents to the local authority. There's a variety of accidents that need reporting, and it ranges in scale. So if somebody dies on your premises, and I have to be clear here, as a result of an accident, so if somebody came onto your premises and was taken ill and taken to hospital, that's not as a result of an accident. So if somebody dies on your premises, that's reportable, and then it works through broken bones to somebody having up to over 7 days off work, that's your employee. And also if a member of the public comes to your premises and has to go to hospital for treatment as a result of an accident, that is reportable. Businesses can report online via the HSE website. There's a simple, straightforward reporting form, and the report is then forwarded either to the Health and Safety Executive or the local authority, depending on who the enforcement authority is. Reports generally have to be made within 15 days of the accident, unless we have a really serious accident, such as a death, and then it's by the quickest possible means. So for our particular case study, because the customer had a broken hip, an ambulance was called and they were taken off to hospital. Therefore, a report needs to be made for RIDDOR, and it needs to be made within 15 days. The local authority will receive that report and review it before deciding what action to take. So looking next at the Health and Safety at Work Act. Now this is the primary piece of legislation covering occupational health and safety in Great Britain. It gives a number of general duties to employers. There is a general duty to employees to look after their health, safety and welfare while they're working for you. And equally, there's a general duty to anybody not in your employment that may come onto your premises or be affected by your work activity. So that pretty much is a cover-all. While some of the regulations, and one we will look at in a minute, may go into more detail, that basically is the principle by which any business should operate. There's also regulations in force relating to the employee, and that they should take reasonable care of themselves and follow the employer's instructions. Also appropriate for this particular case study is it sets out the appointment of inspectors and the powers they have to enforce the Health and Safety at Work Act. So the application to our particular case study, an appointed inspector from the local authority is likely to investigate this accident and see if any offences have been committed. They may ask to see safety paperwork or CCTV if there is any for covering the accident. Now, the Health and Safety at Work Act give the inspectors quite a wide range of powers. So they can enter a premises at any reasonable time and they have that power of entry. They can take anybody with them in order to accommodate that entry. So if they needed the police or a locksmith, that is part of the powers they have. They can seize documents, they can destroy articles or substances, or they can prohibit something from being used. So the powers are quite wide ranging, even though, certainly from a Cornwall Council point of view, we're very keen on working with businesses in cooperation rather than being heavy handed about things. And that's very much changed over the last few years. For this particular case study, we will talk to managers and any relevant staff, and ultimately, we could take formal action in the form of notices or prosecutions. Recent prosecution in Cornwall, the Co-op were fined £400,000 after a customer slipped in store. So the actual outcomes can be quite serious for the most serious accidents. Looking lastly at the Workplace Health, Safety and Welfare Regulations 1992, these regulations cover a wide range of basic health, safety and welfare issues and apply to most workplaces. They cover things from ventilation and temperature in the workplace, lighting, cleanliness, room dimensions, workstations and seating, falls, windows, traffic routes, doors and gates, sanitary conveniences, wash facilities. So they really do look at all the sort of premises type issues. And one of the regulations we're going to concentrate on for this case study is the condition of floor and traffic routes. So the floor should be suitable for the purpose it's intended and free from any articles or substance that may cause a person to slip, trip or fall. The application to our case study in this case is that when the inspector goes into the premises, they will be looking at the quality of the floor. Is it suitable for the use it's got? Generally, retail floors are very hard wearing, and to a certain BS specification. Now, this is great, but it does often mean that if they're contaminated with a spill such as water or grease, they do become particularly slippery. So the inspector will be checking whether there's any defect, any holes, or anything that was particularly going to make this accident likely to happen. The outcome for our case study was that actually there was CCTV of the incident, and it showed that approximately 30 seconds before the customer slipped, a mother and child in a pushchair was walking along the corridor, or the aisle even, and the kid had some drink in their hand and spilt that onto the shop floor. Literally 20 seconds later, before any staff can be made aware of the incident, the customer walks along, steps in the spill, slightly goes to turn to look at something, foot slips out from underneath them, causing the fall. So in this case, there is nothing the business could have done to prevent this incident. It simply was purely an accident. The inspector found that all the paperwork was in order, the staff training, the slips and trips policy was in order, they had good spill clearing up kits, and actually it was a model store, but sometimes these accidents still happen. So no further action from the local authority, and the business, because they had good health and safety in place, were able to demonstrate they had due diligence in place and there was no further action.